What's happening, guys? Welcome to the podcast. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking about having a sense of urgency in all things that you do, as small as they are, all the way up to the big things, and why it's important and how they can help you out. All right, so stay tuned, listen, and enjoy.
Welcome to the Eli Kassab Experience.
So having a sense of urgency in all things that you do, small or big, and why it's super important, and kind of what I mean by this. Now, there are so many situations that I see with so many just some of the smaller things, whether it's through communication aspect, text, phone call, email, or logistically, getting some small task done or something like that. For some reason, there's people are generally very just lackadaisical with some of these smaller daily tasks. And, for me, those are some of the tasks that are most important to have a sense of urgency with and get done, regardless of how much time you have to do it. Because that it's something that can be easily, first of all, easily forgotten. Okay. It can, with your own personal stuff and your day-to-day stuff, it can get lost in the mix super easily. So, if you say like something simple, if you say that you're going to email somebody, right back and let them know, email them back and let them know right away. Don't put it off. Say, hey, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to, do this thing for you. I'm going to get this person to sign this or get this paperwork for you. Make that priority numero uno, top of the list, like get it done just as fast as you can. Because in your day-to-day stuff, it's going to get lost in the mix. It's going to get behind. And then those little things, those little small tasks that you do throughout the day, especially if they're for other people, can really add up. And when they're not executed, can really, it can cause problems, but more so you just lose the respect of the individual that you're doing it for, and so just having a sense of urgency is just, it's really important, and just being, and just workflow management, and just being respectful to people that you're working with, and being known as a person that's reliable and gets stuff done. For me, being involved in higher level football for a number of years, that was something that's just kind of standard. Every task that you got assigned was literally like as fast as you can do it. I mean, now you do got to prioritize with certain things. So you can't do that with everything, obviously, but learning how to prioritize and having a sense of urgency in the things that you do. And so, if somebody asks you to do something and you're like, yeah, I got you. And, if it's like maybe later that day, why wait till the end of the day to do it? If you can, at the earliest possible convenience where you can just get it done. I'm not saying like drop everything and go do it, because I get it, like realistically you might not be able to get to it right away, and that's fine, but being able to at least get it done as fast as you can, or communicating that certain things are being done or taken care of, and that can help out a lot on your end and the other person's end, and just in making sure that the things in the workflow environment are just going smooth, everything's running efficient, everyone's getting along. Because I know if there's somebody that says they're going to do something for me and it ends up taking, like there's no time frame, like, yeah, whenever, like take your time, I'm good, there's no rush. Okay, I say that a lot, and I see a lot of people that like tell me that too. And when somebody tells me there's no rush, I rush it regardless, because a couple of reasons. That can look, if you get something done in a day that's supposed to take a week, that can really level up your game on a efficiency standpoint, productivity. And the other person is now like, whoa, like I didn't expect it for another week. Like this guy's on top of it. And so now you've built, again, reputation, credibility, kind of going back on the last podcast when I was talking about anticipating what needs to be done and executing on that. And so, but now I'm talking about having a sense of urgency with executing, a certain task on a day-to-day basis. And it's when somebody, asks you to do something, like I said, just, too many people are just, like when it comes to communication is the biggest issue that I see it with, whether it's emails, phone calls, or text messages, just, or paperwork type stuff. If there's something that you're going to, you tell somebody, hey, I'm going to have this for you in a couple of weeks. There are too many instances where I don't see that happening because it goes so long. You're like, oh, I got a couple of weeks, and you let it go for so long. Eventually, you forget that task that you were supposed to do for that person. And this kind of gets into some of the, organization, being organized and productivity side of things, but by having a sense of urgency when you're getting these tasks done or telling people you're going to do certain stuff or people are asking you to do certain things, it can really help you out a lot because now your supervisor, your manager, your coworkers, really respect you in that sense. And this is something that, I've implemented with me, as small of a task it is, in all things, whether when I was working in the NFL, when I was working at Stanford, or when I was working at Olive Garden, like, having just a sense of urgency on the things that you do. And like with everything else that I usually preach on my podcast is creating a mindset and a habit, okay? Long-term mindset, long-term habits that essentially become who you are. And it doesn't matter what job it is. It doesn't matter what situation it's involved in. Just work on doing it with just all things personal and on the work, career, life aspect of it as well. And then it becomes very easy and very natural. But this is an area, so for athletic training, because that's where my focus is, again, this does relate to other fields as well. But for those of you athletic trainers listening, whether they're you're in school, newly certified, or even if you're a veteran, just having a sense of urgency is key. Don't kind of take a backseat to things. Get stuff done. Just because you got time to do it doesn't mean to take the maximum amount of time. If you've got 3 days to complete something, again, why are you taking all 3 days? Because now what happens is, and here's the other thing I just thought of this too. So listen, here's the other thing that happens is now you get this project, right? So let's say you got a 3-day project you've got to work on. Okay, cool. I got 3 days to do it. No problem. Most of us, I think, procrastinate. I was procrastinating in school and in work and stuff, but I did more so in school, less in work. But anyway, so let's say you have a 3-day project that you're working on, and then depending on your work situation, let's say you've got a coworker or another supervisor or manager that asks you to do another project that's due in a week. Okay. Then let's say on the second day, now somebody else, coworker, needs help with the project that's due that day. And, and let's just say projects come up left and right, or not even just projects, tasks. It can be anything that's just whatever that it's due, just related to your field and your career. But if there's any, task or anything that needs to be completed, those generally add up. I mean, it's not going to be like, that's great. You have 3 days to complete something, but there's always other tasks and other projects that come up in between that time. So now if you're waiting till the last minute to get something done, you are now trying to figure out how to prioritize everything and get everything done, because now everything's piling up on you. Now you're starting to get stressed because you've got so much piling up on you and you don't know how to handle it. And so, that's another thing that happens with me too, is like, well, Eli, you literally like, why are you completing something that doesn't need to be done for a week, and why are you doing it all today? And I'm like, well, it doesn't need to be done today. And then I get made fun of because they're like, why are you doing it a week in advance? And I'm like, people don't realize, okay, well, yeah, I get that. But listen, first of all, I'm going to get a lot of other projects in between now and then. So that's something that's like, if I can get it just done and out the way and I have time, like I'll just do it as fast as I can, because that leaves me flexible to take on other projects and tasks that get assigned to me. And when that happens, I'm able to complete those and do those, efficiently as well, because now I'm not like, just treading water anymore. I'm not just trying to figure out how the freak am I supposed to, survive this. I got all this stuff going on. Now I'm trying to figure out how to do it. And now I'm stressing and I'm thinking and I'm like working extra hours and extra late. Anyway, so that's one major factor for me anyway of what's kind of helped me in my career, in my field, is that having a sense of urgency in all tasks that I do has really made my life a lot easier, and as well as those around me. And it's also built up a reputation for me anyway, because now it's people know that I'm a guy that just kind of just gets stuff done. Like, I don't waste time. I don't mess around. Like, if you need something done, like, I'll get it done. And so it's a skill, like with everything else that I talk about on my podcast so far. It is a skill that very much needs to be, practiced and learned. And, you can start with some of the bigger tasks and then slowly work on smaller tasks. Everything from like, hey, I'll text you in 2 days about this, like something to a smaller task like that. I think working on some of the bigger stuff, working on like projects or tasks that get assigned to you from your work, from your boss, and then eventually, you can kind of really narrow it down into kind of your small, like kind of day-to-day things. And this can really free up time for you on the back end. Because people are like, man, that sounds like a lot of work. I have to have a sense of urgency in everything that I do all the time. And they're like, that's a lot of work. I'm like, well, if you're thinking short term, yeah, it is. But in the long term, you're actually saving yourself time and work on your end and other people. And in the meantime, you're making a great impression on the people that you're working with. Okay. Which then, who knows, does that lead into other job opportunities? Does that lead into a promotion? Does that lead into something, that opens up doors for you, because most people aren't doing this. And I don't know why. I think it's just the culture that's been created. And I know at least specifically with athletic training, this is one thing that's been preached with, interns and coworkers and stuff, is have a sense of urgency in all things that you do. And I don't know, I feel like it's starting to get lost in the mix. And I don't know what the cause of that is, but culturally it's something where if you really, it's something that not a lot of people are working on it. And if you take the time to work on this and execute on it and really try to learn the skill and get better at it, this can set you apart from so many people. And it can really, really have a positive impact, on your life, on your career. And even if it's something where you're like maxed out on your career and you don't want to promote, there's no promotion, there's no way to move up, or whatever it is, that it's still a good habit to get into, because then you're setting the culture and setting the pace and setting the tone for those around you and beneath you. So this really applies to all levels. It's something that I think can really, really help tremendously in your organization, in yourself as a human being, and just really benefits all the way around. Win-win situation on both ends, because then, for you, it's something that, like I said, it helps you out between a productivity and efficiency standpoint, and it helps the company organization you're working with out. Plus, you're now building reputation with those around you and making their lives easier. So, like, overall, a lot of good can come from it. So if we can all just start practicing this and slowly start to change the culture, where we're now, kind of doing a little bit better of a job of trying to take care of things ahead of time, it can really help kind of set the pace and set the tone for next generations. So anyway, if you guys are still listening to the podcast, I wanted to say thank you. I appreciate it. And if you guys can, please share, if you know anybody that might be interested in it or not, just, share and, let me know what you guys think, tweet me or message, DM, Instagram, email, whatever. Feel free to reach out to me with questions, or if you just have some thoughts or comments about this podcast, let me know what you think, and I'd be happy to kind of talk about it. And then keep an eye out for interviews coming soon. And you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk to you later. Okay? Peace.